Hey everyone, Kelsey the Counsellor here. I just wanted to chat a little bit about holy smokes 2022. You've been a little bit difficult. And coming out of all these COVID restrictions that we've been having for the longest time, moving into March Madness. I've heard this term March Madness anywhere. I don't know if you've heard about it. Really challenging in March. And now we're coming to try to find this rebalancing, figuring out what's going on. But lots of people are struggling with their mental health. And I really want to, a passion project of mine is to try to break down these stigmas that we have about mental health. And so I want to talk about why typically why people struggle with mental health difficulties and what's going on. Mental health difficulties are a completely appropriate response when life is challenging. I want you to imagine all those stressors and pressures in your life. And it's often that when we're under a lot of pressure, or under a lot of stress, we have mental health difficulties. Maybe we kind of shut down and retreat, or we become a little bit overzealous and overdo it in whatever way that means. We use different things for coping. We over or undereat, over or undersleep, and our whole system kind of goes out of balance. Think about your arm. If my arm bone was under a lot of pressure and something jarred it, it would probably break. And so it can definitely heal and repair and mend, but the same thing's true for our emotional and psychological body. When we have all this pressure coming in, something kind of goes off kilter. Maybe it's a strain or a sprain or something happens and it causes these difficulties. And yet somehow in our world, we understand when my arm is under pressure that it might break or strain or sprain. But when I'm under pressure psychologically or emotionally, I'm expected just to carry on. I'm expected to be grateful for what I have. Just keep going, pull up my boots, pull up my socks, power through. But these things aren't realistic. If I were told to power through when I had a broken arm, it would actually get worse. And isn't that what happens to our emotional and psychological health as well? If we just try to chuck along and keep going, and we're starting to erode more and more and more, but we're telling ourselves we have to keep going, but it's getting harder and harder and harder, and we retreat more, or we use these other copings even more, and they create their own difficulties. So my hope through talking about this is to contribute just a little bit to your understanding maybe of mental health difficulties, and also just to normalize that mental health difficulties are really, really common. I don't know anyone in my life who I know truly and well and honestly that hasn't gone through some kind of difficulty in their life and that has impacted them and informed who they are. So I just want to throw that out there. It's okay to struggle. And I know society tells us it's not. And society tells us we have to put on this beautiful face and we have to keep going and be shiny and bright and all of these things. But I totally struggled this year. March Madness, for sure, knocked the wind out of my sails. And it was really, really hard. And I tried to keep going for a while, but I couldn't, and life held me accountable. And so I've had to take some time and recalibrate my world and figure out what I'm doing to find that rebalancing. So mental health difficulties are completely a normal response when we're under too much stress and too much strain. When these stresses and strains go on long term, they can create more acute mental health difficulties. And there has definitely been a correlation between mental health and physical health difficulties. So if we don't address them when they're more moderate or small, they get bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger and can impact our physical health as well. So please, please know that your mental health deserves attention. It deserves to be addressed and supported and nurtured, just as your physical health does. So for the focus for April, I'm going to create a document, a whole page of opportunities for you to find ways to help manage your stress, to check in and figure out what you can do to try to be more balanced, check in and see how your mental health is doing, and just normalize talking about it. If you do want to learn more about mental health, please feel free to check out my website. I do offer a mental health first aid training, which I really love doing. It's offered virtually, so anywhere in Canada that you're welcome to access it. And it's an opportunity to talk more about mental health difficulties, diagnoses, and how to support people through them when they're struggling, whether the person is someone over here or whether the person is yourself. So feel free to check that out and let me know how you're doing. I'd love to hear. I hope that you're finding ways to find your balance and find wellness. All the best. Until next time. Bye.